we play a game?
Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. Zach is in there tripping, my engineer. Zach, did I freak you out?
Yeah, you did.
I had to go across the hall to take care of some business, and I ran back in with 7 seconds left. I knew you'd be freaking, dude. So, all right, anyway, this is Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks so much for joining us, whether you're listening live on Saturday at 1 p.m. Central over the air in the Little Rock, Central Arkansas metro area, or online at 96.5 FM, theanswer.com, or if you're listening delayed on the podcast or on YouTube or on Krypton Radio, I'm just glad you're listening. Glad you're here. I've got fellow geek and friend of the show, Neale Carter, on. Say hi, Neale.
Hi, Neil. Thanks for having me back, Shane.
You were going to do that. Yeah.
Hey, you set me up perfectly.
I did set you up perfectly. So, Neale was on along with SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism president John Fulton several weeks back, and I've been looking for a good excuse to get Neale back on, and today's show is a good excuse for that. So, just going to go through our housekeeping notes real quick, and we are going to dive right in to all the fun that is Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. Don't forget, this is live talk radio first and foremost. It is a podcast, but it's also live talk radio. I love both formats. And if you're listening live on Saturday at 1 o'clock, you can call in 501-823-0965. That's 501-823-0965. Or you could tweet me at Shane Plays, ShanePlays, and I'll be happy to work your question or comment or whatever into the live show. Today's a Geek News Tsunami. It's coming right at us. It's going to be nothing but geek news, Neale. A big, huge Japanese tidal wave of geek news just coming right at us. It's just going to wipe us out. It's nothing. I've had all this geek news.
It's a great time to be a geek. We got lots going on.
There's a lot, and I've just had it piling up. I haven't had a really good long news segment. So today is nothing but geek news, and I've got a good spread of types of geek news. So stick around, because I guarantee you there'll be something of interest in today's geek news. Say it, go tsunami.
Geek News Tsunami.
It's coming right at us. That will be of interest to you. I guarantee it. So, real quick, want to mention last week's show is archived on the blog, and out there in podcast form and that was with Monty Cook, veteran game designer Monty Cook, talking about his deluxe RPG that he's taking pre-orders now through Monty Cook Games, Invisible Sun. Which do you know much about this Invisible Sun RPG, Neale? It's crazy.
I looked at the Kickstarter. It's kind of this immersive world.
It's totally immersive. Yeah. So he's trying to, like I said, he admits himself, this RPG is not going to be for everybody, but I think the people that get into it are going to get way into it. So anyway, go check that out. Plus, Monty Cook's just a cool guy to talk to, so I enjoyed talking with him last week. Was pleased to have him on. Next week, I've got John Peterson and Michael Whitwer, who write books on D&D history and the history of role-playing games and everything. And check this out. We're going to postulate, Neale, next week. Mike Whitwer wrote Empire of the Imagination, which is sort of a novelized biography of Gary Gygax. And John Peterson wrote Playing at the World, which is a super in-depth, scholarly, but yet very readable history of role-playing games.
I have both books in my collection. I'm well aware of them.
So they're coming on next week, and we're going to postulate. You ready for this? What would RPGs look like today if D&D had never been published?
That's a good one.
So it's going to be a what if, and for one of a nail, the kingdom was lost moment that I proposed, because Gary Gygax had to borrow money to start TSR. So I'm going to say, for whatever reason, he couldn't borrow that money. TSR never started, and D&D never got officially published. Although the role play, the wargaming circles, the genesis of the idea was there. but
Right.
TSR never published D&D. So something would have happened. So
Right.
what would RPGs look like today? And by definition, a lot of our entertainment and pop culture and video games, if D&D had never been published. So that's going to be next week. I think that's going to be really good. Folks, don't forget the show does go out a few days after the live show as a podcast on the blog, iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and we're on SoundCloud now, and we're in other places as well, podcast-wise. And last but not least, we are carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, kryptonradio.com. Okay, we're about to get to the Geek News Tsunami, but I believe a friend of yours asked you to plug a Ren Fair.
Right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do that real quick.
There is the Mid-South Renaissance Fair coming August 19th and 20th and August 26th through 27th. This is in my hometown. Actually, it's in a suburb of my hometown, Memphis, Tennessee. It's in Millington, Tennessee at the USA Baseball Stadium and Park. I've actually not been to this Ren Fair. I hear really good things about it. For more information, the website is midsouthrenfair.com. That's midsouthrenfair, FAIRE.com.
Okay, so this is not a Society for Creative Anachronism event.
No, but
Okay.
the SCA has a good presence there. They give
Okay.
the SCA kind of their own space. But
Okay.
Ren Fairs and SCA they're similar, but
they're not
quite the same.
Right. Yeah. They're close cousins.
Right.
But this isn't an official SCA event. But
No,
there'll
it is
be
not an SCA
present.
event. It is
Okay.
a for-profit event. It's like $10 to get in.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and SCA is a nonprofit organization.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and I'm putting some on Facebook right now about the show, including tagging you. So just babble for a second, Neil. Babble, my friend. Babble. Yeah.
Babble about what?
Babble about what's the latest geek movie that you've seen?
Latest geek movie that I saw would have been it didn't make much of an impression on me, I guess.
Have you seen Valerian?
No, I haven't seen Valerian yet.
Yeah, I went and saw it. I'm like Zach. We talked about this. The visuals are amazing. If you're a movie buff or a sci-fi geek, you need to go see the movie just for the visuals.
Right.
But the movie itself, The guy they got to play Valerian pulls the whole thing down. But there's some cool stuff in it.
That's Dane
DeHaan.
DeHaan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about him other than, he was.
I've seen him in 2 films, especially one this year. I think it was called A Cure for Wellness.
Okay.
He's more so good for those roles and those scary thrillers, movies like that. But being a Han Solo type character, that's not his role.
Yeah, I saw him in Chronicle, and he does the intense thing really well.
Right.
Yeah, he just wasn't right for this role.
He's weird.
Yeah.
I get that weird vibe from him. And he's right for those scary movies, but he's just not, for Valerian.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just didn't. But I mean, everything else about it I liked. But it was the one movie this year I was like, I got to see. They're taking a risk. It's not a franchise. It's not a sequel. It's not, they're just. So I really wanted to go see it. And of course, I love Fifth Element.
Well, it is a franchise, just not here.
Right. Well,
Right.
yeah, it's a French comic book. But I'm saying it's not not your typical Hollywood safe movie, right? So, which I wish that it would have done better. Hey, and I mean, I'll get it on DVD. The visuals are fantastic.
Right.
I'd like to go see it. I just haven't had a chance. Been so busy.
Yeah. The visuals are fantastic. There was one scene, there wasn't any nudity or anything in it, but I felt it was unnecessary. There was like this, it was almost like a striptease, vaudeville kind of scene. Not vaudeville, what's the word? A burlesque. Kind of. I wish that hadn't been in there. It wasn't my wife's favorite part. I felt I was like, sorry. I was like, Sheila, I'm sorry. I didn't know this part was in the movie. Don't get me wrong. There wasn't nudity or anything like that.
Right.
But I was just like, I just wish it hadn't been in there. But, the movie itself, from a technical, it deserves to be nominated for an Oscar for the visuals,
Right.
for the costume design and all that stuff. Amazing special effects. So, and speaking of movies, this kind of surprised me. I didn't think this movie would do gangbusters, but The Dark Tower is only 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. 18%. Now the audience score is 63%. Now,
Right.
Dave Ellswick, Zach, you and Dave were talking yesterday. Y'all both seen it and you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
As he said, he put it that it was created for people who haven't read the books.
Yeah.
Now, if you
Right.
read the books and you know about all the history behind it and everything, then you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
For me, just going into the movie theater, watching it for an hour and a half, I enjoyed the action, the
Thought it was
chemistry.
fine.
It was fine.
Okay. Yeah, but 18% kind of surprises me, to be honest. But, as Dave pointed out yesterday, and it's true, a lot of times the user score will be a lot higher than the critic score. And the user score on this is 63%, not 18%. So there's a pretty big disconnect between the critics and the
Well, most of the criticism I've been seeing has been it's not as epic as the critics wanted it to be.
Right.
And it's an epic 7-book series. I've only read the first book. I read The Gunslinger back when it came out.
He was cool.
which is actually my least favorite of the series. My favorite of the series is Wizard and Glass. I really feel that's an amazing book. But yeah, the epic story that Stephen King is telling is really good.
Yeah.
But the individual books are a variable, some of them are great. Some of them are, I read it because it was Stephen King or whatever. So, and I haven't finished, I think he's finished the books and I haven't read them all. I think I
he's
stopped
finished
at
the whole thing.
Yeah. I stopped at like the 5th one or something like that. So anyway, all right. So speaking of movie news, I really want to make this our first official news item. Let's go ahead and turn on the super secret microphone in the newsroom and see if that news team's working hard today, Zach. There they go. They're working extra hard today to bring you all this geek news because it's a Geek News Tsunami. It's coming right at us. Okay, so let's get to the first, and this is a sad story for me personally. Here's one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite movies ever. Barbara, your brother has something to tell you.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
It's one of my favorite lines. Do you recognize that line, Neil?
Night
of the Living
Night
Dead.
of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead at the beginning.
The
in the
eminent
cemetery.
Mr. Romero.
Yeah. So Mr. Romero, George A. Romero, has passed away. This is actually a couple of weeks ago, and just due to my show and everything, I haven't had a chance to get to this. It's hard to put into words the impact that Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and all that had on me growing up. I mean, I was a major zombie fan before. Right now, it's zombies are
cool.
everywhere, right? Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, The Walking Dead, I watch it. It's a good show, but we wouldn't have all that without George Romero. And Night of the Living Dead was people. This movie freaked people out so bad they got up and left the theater, right? So it was. And if you watch it now, it's still pretty crazy, but it's relatively tame. It's not tame by any means, but it's relatively tame because we've had a lot of gory zombie stuff come out since then. But before him, a zombie was like a reanimated like voodoo thing, right? He's the one that came up with this whole zombies are reanimated corpses that just for some strange reason want to eat you. So, and he always made his movies as some sort of social commentary. Every one of his movies uses zombies as a social commentary. And there's a lot of people that argue over what the first one meant. George Romero was actually dismissive of The Walking Dead because he's like, it's just a soap opera. It's just a soap opera, and I guess, which is kind of a fair criticism because they're not really doing a lot of commentary. It's just more of like survival horror. But I still enjoy Walking Dead. I mean, I think that I'll tell you one of the reasons I enjoy Walking Dead, because every time the Romero movies ended, I was like, I want to see what happens next. And then I never did. So that's why I like The Walking Dead, because you get to see everything play out.
Well, I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
This may kill some of my geek cred. I've not actually seen Night of the Living Dead the whole way through.
Yeah.
I don't watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah. No, it doesn't kill your geek cred.
Yep.
Visual zombies just don't do it for me.
Yeah.
I like my zombies literary. So
Yeah.
I read Max Brooks's World War Z.
World War Z was fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mira Grant's Newsflesh trilogy.
I didn't read. I'm not even familiar with that.
A political thriller with zombies.
Okay.
It's really good.
So it's just today's headlines. I'm
right,
sorry.
but it's
sorry about that. Ha ha.
But yeah, it's a really good trilogy about a world where the zombie apocalypse has come and gone.
Right.
The world has gone on, has managed to adapt.
It's picking up the pieces.
Well, it's the first full presidential election, and it's about a group of news reporters following the election and finding out something's going on behind the scenes.
Okay, so that's I mean, zombies have become so prevalent now that really telling the zombie story itself is almost tired, right? So it's like, well, how would it really affect society or whatever? And yeah, I can't stress enough. I listened to the audiobook version of World War Z. And
Which was fantastic.
I really enjoyed the movie version too. I thought it was quite good, even though I know it deviated quite a bit from the book. But yeah, it was fantastic. Anybody who's into zombies even a little bit should read World War Z. It's in the form of a guy interviewing people after the zombie apocalypse and getting their stories of what it was like to be in the middle of it, from all these different types of people, from the highest up authority figures down to, like the little peon. So it was really, really good. But anyway, George A. Romero has passed on after a brief but aggressive battle with lung cancer, and he died at 77. So, he was a pioneer in certain types of horror, the survival horror, the zombies, all that stuff. And he's one of the people that had a major impact on me. And the first time I saw Night of the Living Dead, and I mean, it just rang my bell in a way that is hard to describe. And of course the classic, Dawn of the Dead, where they're in the mall,
the shopping mall.
And it's really just a critique of modern consumer culture is really what that movie is. So we wish him well. And I guess I like to do moments of silence for to send people off on this show. So we'll have I kind of have a feeling George A. Romero wouldn't want a moment of silence. I don't know why I feel like that, but I'm going to give him one anyway, just in case. So we're going to do a moment of silence for George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead creator. And really, if you're a modern zombie fan, you owe it all to George Romero. All right. And that moment of silence was for George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead creator, dead at 77. So thank you for all of the wonderful memories and scares, Mr. Romero. So we talked about the Dark Tower. Are you a Tick fan? The Tick?
Mildly. I've read the comic books back in the day.
Okay. Well, the Tick is, of course you had the animated series back in the day, which is pretty funny, pretty good. And then you had the live action series that didn't last very long with Patrick Warburton in the late 90s, early 2000s, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Amazon did a pilot about a year ago to kind of reboot it. And it was really good. It kind of struck a good balance between being complete silly satire and telling a somewhat serious story, but it still captures that zaniness and goofiness of the Tick. Right. And so, they did a pilot about a year ago, and they're going with a full live action series on Amazon Prime starting August 25th. So if you're a Tick fan out there, or if you just like kind of goofy, that superhero satire kind of thing, I would definitely recommend you check it out. So,
okay. And
you can see that the pilot is still free. You can go watch the pilot on Amazon right now for free and check it out. And I guess after that you need to be pardon me. What is going on? It's that tsunami. The tsunami is wearing me out. But it's I really enjoyed the pilot, and I'm really looking forward to the series. So does that intrigue you at all?
It intrigues me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of limited by slow internet. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've got enough to do email and web surfing, and that's about it.
Oh, bummer. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that trying to think. I don't know that maybe they'll put it out on video or.
Well, the upgrade plan is forthcoming. I've just been told by my wife to hands off the telecommunication budget until after Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. So do y'all watch Game of Thrones?
We do watch Game of Thrones.
I have not watched a single episode. I've read some of the books, and I know that people love Game of Thrones. Now, I should have made this a news story. Did you see about HBO getting hacked?
Yes.
Yeah. So I actually had a couple of friends that said, I'm off social media till after Sunday or whatever, because I don't want to see. Evidently, the most recent episode that's still to air this weekend was HBO got hacked and
it got leaked. Yeah,
they got
people
leaked.
Have no patience.
Yeah, I don't
none
get
at
it.
all.
None.
Yeah,
just wait till Sunday night to watch it.
It's okay. So is this? What season is this? 5, 4,
is season 6.
7.
6?
7. You're right.
Yeah, 7.
So it's just going strong. It hasn't lost any of its storytelling power.
It's actually gaining momentum because it's reaching the end of the story, and you can kind of see what's
right
at the end is near.
Yep.
Well, they've gotten past the books, right?
Yes.
Like they've passed George R.R. Martin. So I don't know if they're working with him
They are.
or what. I don't know if how they're going to do it is going to spoil the books, or I don't know what's going to happen.
George R.R. Martin has said that basically the books and the TV series are going to have basically the same ending, but how they get there is going to be different.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
They're going to diverge from each other.
Who's your favorite character?
Mine?
Yeah.
Tyrion.
Okay.
Tyrion Lannister.
All right.
Yeah, I like Tyrion. How can you not like Tyrion? From the books, he was probably my favorite.
Well, you feel the most sympathetic for him.
Well, it's not just sympathetic, but I mean, he was able to get stuff done.
True.
Despite everything.
True.
I mean, he was the Lannisters, at least in the books up to the point I read, that the Lannisters owed him a whole bunch, but they still treated him like dirt. But I mean, he was out there. They wouldn't have anywhere half the position and status and stuff. They would have lost it without Tyrion.
Yeah.
So
his brother Jamie has come around on him.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now up to where I read in the books, Jamie and his sister, what's hers? The sister
Cersei.
Awful people.
That won't change.
Awful people.
Jamie has come around.
Yeah.
He really has, because of the experiences he's gone through.
Yeah.
It's changed him. I mean, just a lot has happened to him, Tyrion, and even Cersei. But Cersei, she's so headstrong.
Yeah.
I mean, in her evil plan.
Well, I heard rumors, and I'm not trying to spoil anything. I don't watch the show. I just see headlines go that they might bring Eddard Stark back somehow. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
That'll be interesting if they do.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we got one more news story here, and then we'll cut to a break. And this is actually from this was Neale's suggestion for a news story, and this is Lego. That has this thing called the Lego Ideas Project, and people can propose ideas, and then people vote on them. And if enough support comes along, then it can get approved.
Yeah, they make the set. They've done this with other media franchises. They did a Ghostbusters set came out of this program.
So what was what are we going to get now?
We are going to get the classic 5-lion Voltron.
The classic, not the new Netflix. Which there's nothing wrong with the new
Don't
Netflix.
Nothing
hate.
wrong with it. Hey,
Don't
the new
hate.
Netflix series,
With it, Zach.
from what I've seen of it, has been awesome.
Yeah, but this is the classic.
The 5 lions.
The original Go Lion, because it came from it was a mashup of like Go Lion and something else from like Korea or something. No,
right.
Yeah. Was it Korea or Japan?
It was another Japanese show.
Was it Japanese?
Okay.
And they basically completely redid it for American audiences and all that. And that's where we got Voltron. But yeah, it's the classic come home after school and turn it on in the 80s Voltron.
Well, the 80s have been back in a pretty big way. I mean,
way.
we can segue in for Ready Player One, which is going to be nothing but
we're
80s.
We're gonna talk about We have a Ready Player One news story for later in the show. I'm really jazzed for Ready Player One.
Oh, same here.
I've got the book on my pile. I haven't gotten to it yet. But
it's excellent.
Yeah.
I've read it. I'm actually rereading it.
When I was talking to Monty Cook last week, he was all about it. So yeah, we've got a news story on that. But anyway, folks, we don't know when it's coming out yet, but it's approved and it's going to get made. It is the classic Voltron, the real Voltron, Zach, Lego set, Defender of the Universe. Isn't that what it had kind of like this synthesized voice called Defender of the Universe? Okay, we're going to go to a break. We come back. We'll have more of the Geek News Tsunami. It's coming right up.
The smell of mildew emanates from wet stone walls. The only choices before you are to enter the door to the north or travel back up the stairs from whence you came.
Okay. I go to the door to the north.
In this room you encounter an event promoter.
Arkansas RPG Con is the Arkansas convention for all tabletop role-playing games. Arkansas RPG Con will be held on Saturday, October 21st at the Gene Moss Building, located at 913 East Sevier Street in Benton, Arkansas. Early bird tickets are just $7, so visit arpgcon.com for all the details about Arkansas RPG Con.
Okay. Well, I guess I go to Arkansas RPG Con.
Yeah, that does sound pretty fun.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, we're back on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into things we love. You can call in yourself if you're listening live during the actual live radio show before we go out as a podcast at 501-823-0965, or you could tweet Shane Plays, that's ShanePlays, and I will be happy to work your questions or comments into the show. So today is a Geek News Tsunami. It's coming right at us. So I'm joined by fellow geek and friend of the show, Neale Carter. And of course, Zach's in there engineering and pressing the buttons and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And we're just geeking out. We're just having a fun show today, just going through news, because I love to just chat about geek news. And I've been trying to shorten the news segment in recent episodes to give my guests more time, which of course I've just had all this back, and I'm not even getting to half the news I've got that I've collected. You know, I'm just grabbing stuff and that I think is kind of fun and want to talk about. But I mean, I've got even more stuff than this piled up. I want to talk about something that kind of a serious subject. I don't want to bum anything out, but I do want to make kind of a comment here. Now, Neil, I don't know if you're familiar with this Make Mine Milkshake thing that happened recently with Marvel Comics. And if anyone who follows me on YouTube or follows my show or just knows me personally, I'm really sensitive and leery of the social justice warrior stuff. I think it has good intentions, but the way it's usually accomplished is very tyrannical and doesn't allow the entire situation to be discussed. It's very one-sided, and well, if you don't agree this way, then you're evil and all this stuff. But here's something that happened recently with Marvel that, and I've been very upset with Marvel for a couple of years now over things they've been doing that I consider sort of social justice warrior stuff, and what they've done with Captain America. But on this one, I'm on Marvel's side, and I just want to make a statement here. Before I get into this, are you familiar with much of this, Neil?
I've
barely. Okay,
like you, I've been kind of like Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sort of excited by this new legacy project that they're working on.
They're doing that in response to all the backlash they've gotten to people seeing, like, it's obvious what you're trying to do, and sales have been tanking. Right. So, and my blanket statement on Marvel is, if you want to take marginalized or minorities or gender stuff, and you want to have higher visibility in storytelling and comics, introduce new characters that can stand on their own and tell those stories. Don't co-opt existing characters that have decades of history and loyal fan bases. And that's all I'm going to say on it. What they're trying to do is not necessarily a bad thing. The way they've been trying to do it feels yucky to me. So, and that's all I'm going to say, especially the Captain America thing. However, recently a Marvel editor, a female Marvel editor, they posted after it was like on a Friday after work, and they posted like it was a group of women employees at Marvel, and they just posted a picture of themselves drinking milkshakes. And the day was over, and it was just like, hey, it's the end of a long day, and they got really nasty comments in return. And the as far as I know, the original tweet with a picture did not have any deep underlying message to it. Now it did mention Flo Steinberg, who recently passed away, who was part of the original Marvel bullpen, but it was just, they were just enjoying a milkshake, and they got stuff, back along the lines of, well, I'd bang her, which is the most mild, and that's just typical immature stuff, to, oh, I can't stand all this SJW stuff. And they really got a backlash on Twitter over posting a picture of some women enjoying a milkshake after work.
Yeah.
Right? We're the women we're a group of women who work at Marvel. We're drinking a milkshake, and it was a selfie.
Right.
And they got this massive backlash of immature, nasty comments. And I'm like, why would you do that? If you're going to get upset with something, get upset with a philosophical thing that's proposed, not just a bunch of women holding a milkshake. So this is where I think that there, when people complain about harassment and basically people hiding behind the internet and being caustic and nasty and acting like 13-year-old boys, which some of them probably are, but not all of them. This is where I think that is the stuff that I disagree with. You're just harassing somebody just to harass them, just to be a jerk.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, fandom should be for everybody.
Right.
I mean, I spent my entire teenage years, I was pretty much the only fan in my school. I played D&D with a couple of guys who actually in the hallway said, Neale, don't talk about the game. They were closet gamers.
Yeah, they didn't want to be outed as gamers.
As
which in the 80s was legit, man.
Yeah.
It could socially destroy you.
And
the geeks today don't know
we
went through.
They don't.
Anyway.
It's actually cool to be a geek now.
It's totally cool to be a geek.
But, I'm sorry. Why would we put anyone through that ever again?
Right.
Fandom's for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And creators too. I mean,
there's a difference between saying that fandom's for everybody and trying to co-opt what the fandom is about, right? For social messages. Right. There's a whole different and people should be able to enjoy or whatever, but I'm just saying officially, because I've railed against Marvel in the past. If you sent this woman a harassing message over that tweet, officially, as Shane Plays and as Shane Stacks, there's something wrong with you. That is not the way to engage in public discourse if we agree with stuff, because there was nothing there to trigger anything. It was a bunch of women drinking a milkshake, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Right? I just, that was stupid. But what's good about it, it's brought a lot of people together, including DC and Marvel. DC has been putting out public messages in support of this. And DC and Marvel had a falling out several years ago.
One of many.
Yeah, but Joe Quesada said some stupid stuff and upset DC, and so because for a little while there'd been a lot of DC Marvel crossovers, and then that just stopped, and so this has been the first public acknowledgement of Marvel Comics from DC social media ever. So I just at least something good came out of it there. But I just want to say, if you got a bone to pick over a specific thing, like the time I talked about the Iceman thing. I said, I disagree about this specific thing, and here's why. I didn't just say, oh, that's a Marvel employee, I'm going to harass them. That's stupid.
Right.
Don't do that. So anything else you want to add to that, Neale, before I move on?
I think you've covered it.
Okay, I've covered it. I just officially, that's dumb. And if it was an editor from Marvel that posted the photo and got harassed, if by some chance you're hearing this or who she is, I I'm sorry that happened to you. That's stupid. So anyway, okay. Moving right along. Neil, you want to talk about some Star Trek?
All right.
Okay. You're a big Star Trek fan, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did you know that Star Trek Continues episode 9 is out?
I did hear that, yes.
Yeah, I usually jump right on them. Boom.
Right.
But I haven't watched this one yet. I want to. I'm hoping to watch it today after the show. But it's got, is it John Delancey that plays Q?
John Delancey.
It's got Q in it. And it's called, or I don't know if it's got Q, but John Delancey's in it. I would assume he's Q, but I don't know that.
No,
for
I
sure.
don't think he's playing somebody else.
Okay. Well, anyway, he's in it.
They generally, when they do those guest star appearances of
right.
Trek alumni, they generally put them in some other role.
Okay. Just to avoid.
Right.
Because there's, well, now Star Trek Continues kind of has the blessing of CBS and Paramount because Gene Roddenberry's son is a big fan of Star Trek Continues and friends with the cast. So and I don't get it because everybody else is getting the pantsuit off of them. Star Trek Continues isn't, which doesn't seem fair to me. However, I like Star Trek Continues. And going along with that, they've got 2 more episodes coming out. And this is next news story. The last news story I got from Bleeding Cool talking about DC and Marvel coming together over the Make Mine milkshake. And of course, Make Mine milkshake, if you don't know, back in the day, it was
Make Mine Marvel,
right? So that's where the Make Mine milkshake comes from. So this is from Fan Film Factor, Jonathan Lane, who's been on the show a couple times. And I'm trying to get with Jonathan to occasionally do a show that's nothing but fan film updates because he keeps up with all that stuff. And there's a big fan film, world out there for people.
Big community.
Yeah, big community. So, but the Star Trek Continues, the final 2 episodes following What Ships Are For, they changed the release dates because of Star Trek Discovery has announced their
release on September 24th.
On September 24th, which was landing like right in the middle of, let's see. Yeah, September 21st through 23rd, Star Trek Continues was going to release To Boldly Go Part 1. And then in October 5th through 8th, they were going to release To Boldly Go Part 2, which was going to finish because they were basically trying to do the 4th season of Star Trek if it had gone on.
Right.
In fact, I'm sure you know this, Neil, but Star Trek Continues picked up literally after the final shot of season. Was it the Turnabout Intruder?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, literally the very next shot they picked up on and kept going and saying, they were going to do a 4th season of Star Trek. So CBS announced that Star Trek Discovery was going to be September 24th. So you can watch the first episode that night on CBS, and then you can go to CBS All Access and immediately watch part 1 and 2 on CBS All Access.
Right.
Right. Which I'm still like, I'm not happy about the All Access thing.
I mean, that's where a lot of the shows are going to.
Yeah.
You heard the announcement from Comic-Con on Stargate Origins.
So Stargate is going to, is it who is it? Not Paramount.
MGM.
MGM is doing their streaming service. DC's doing a streaming service with the live action Teen Titans. I am not happy about this trend.
And I got to tell you, they're taking a page from the fan films from things like Star Trek Continues and Axanar, which have raised, Hollywood levels of money through Kickstarters and the like and subscriptions.
Yeah.
And the media companies have seen this and are going, hey, well, we could do that.
I think also some of it is there's been a lot of cord cutters and people going online. And now they're like, we got to get recurring revenues back somehow.
Right.
Because they've cut cable. And, we can get $10 a month. If they made All Access like $2 or $3 a month, I'd consider. I'm not paying 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever it is. I don't see compelling enough content to do that.
Right. Just not for one show.
One show. That's the thing. So anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But so they revised their their release schedule. And now the sneak peek of episode 10, which is To Boldly Go Part 1, will be at New York Comic-Con on Sunday, October 8th, and will publicly debut on October 18th. And the final episode, To Boldly Go Part 2, episode 11, will release publicly on November 13th. And there's going to be a sneak peek at an episode, screening event prior to be determined. So, they're being cool and gracious and not trying to steal Discovery's thunder. And that news article was courtesy Fan Film Factor and Jonathan Lane. Now, what time we got here? Yeah, we got time for this. Okay, here's now we can rant a little bit, even though we just ranted a second ago, Neil. Okay, there is a real, in my opinion, battle royale lining up in the Star Trek world. Okay, so this is from Gizmodo. Here's the headline. Discovery may be an official Star Trek show, but the Orville could wind up the truer one. And I got to tell you, I'm more excited for the Orville right now than I am for Discovery.
I'm equally excited. I'll probably watch the Orville more because it'll be on broadcast television.
It'll be on TV, right?
We've already discussed my internet lackings.
Yeah.
But again, like I said at the top of the show, it's a great time to be alive that we can have
all
both both real Star Trek, the first Star Trek show in 12 years since Enterprise, and a great parody show from a guy who really gets Star Trek. Say what you will about Seth MacFarlane, he gets Star Trek. He's still trying to retain that optimistic Roddenberry feel of what Star Trek, and that's what a lot of the argument is over in Star Trek right now. Is a lot of people would say, hey, we're getting real Star Trek in Discovery, but there's a lot of people based on everything that's been released so far. They're like, this doesn't feel like real Star Trek to me. And we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah. I'm not against Discovery. There's stuff I've seen that I'm like, I'll tell you when I just mentally went, really? I think I'm just going to take a mental break from Discovery for a while is when they announced that the lead character is Spock's adoptive sister that we never heard of before. And I'm like, I don't know. For some reason, for me, it's a wait and see thing.
Yeah, I'm just like, But I think, how did I describe it? I said, here's how I'm summing up Star Trek Discovery when people ask me what it's all about. It's a new TV show, a new Trek show that's in the Prime universe, set 10 years before the original series, but it looks like JJ Trek. And the Klingons look like spider-worshipping clerics from D&D, right? I mean, they do. They look like Drow, man. It's like,
see that.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, the lead character is Spock's sister. It like
I said, I'm more optimistic in saying, let's see what happens.
And you know what? If it were to broadcast on regular TV, I would be more along that.
Right.
But my thing is, you want me to go pay however much it is, like $10, $15 a month to watch this, and nothing you've put out so far excites me enough to do that. So I kind of put the onus on CBS. If you want me to go shell out the ducats to watch, you better blow me away, and they have not blown me away.
The pre-press has been a little underwhelming, I will admit. But like I said, I've heard some good things. I've heard Nicholas Meyer of Star Trek Wrath of Khan fame is in the writer's room on this.
Well, he's doing another series.
But he's also in the writer's room on this, too.
Okay, because he's also doing a possible Khan prequel.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so anyway, we got to get to a break and get to some more news items after that. But I'm not against Discovery. I'm glad they're doing some prime Star Trek again. But I'm not excited enough to consider spending money on Star Trek All
I'll probably
Access.
wait for the hopefully inevitable DVD.
That's where I'm at. So yeah, I hope that they don't blame, if it fails, I hope they don't blame it on Star Trek instead of blaming it on the fact that you put it on a streaming service. So, because nobody I know is happy about the streaming service thing. Not a single person. All right, we got to get to a break, but first let me tell you about Game Goblins. Some Game Goblins are your friends. Make sure to get over to Game Goblins at Canis and South Bowman. Josh Wilhelmi and his manager, Jeremy Winchell, run a great show over there. They're their premier store around here for Magic the Gathering, role-playing games, board games, Warhammer, you name it. They have a great customer loyalty program. They've got a lot of play space, and you'll want that play space because they have gaming events every day of the week. Literally every day of the week, they have gaming events over there. Great inventory, good atmosphere, Great store. And also, if you mention Shane Plays, if you're a first-time customer, get on over to Game Goblins. I think it's 501-224-GAME or GameGoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or GameGoblins.com. If you're a first-time customer, go in. If you spend $50 or more, mention Shane Plays, and you'll get $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. But get on over to the Game Goblins. Great game store right here in Little Rock. I'm so glad to have them as a sponsor. I enjoy their store every time I'm over there. And, you know, they do a lot for the gaming community here in Little Rock. So check them out. That's Game Goblins. And make sure to tell them Shane Plays sent you. We'll be back after this short break. Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm joined by fellow geek and friend of the show, Neale Carter. We were just talking about his role-playing game selection, and I was salivating and begging to come over and take a look at it. And we found out we both have a lot of cats. We were comparing how many cats we have. So, anyway, we are on today a Geek News Tsunami. It's coming right at us. Zach is scared. He sees the wave coming. Zach, we're not going to survive. You can't survive a tsunami. It's coming right at us. Anyway, we're doing nothing but just talking about fun geek news items today. So let's keep going with that. We've got about 6 minutes left in the show, so let's see what we can cover in these next few minutes. I think this will make Zach happy. I think this is a news item will make Zach happy because there's been a lot of back and forth over whether Ben Affleck was going to stay as Batman or not. Suddenly he's going to be too old and he's going to be out, or now he's in, now he's out, or now he doesn't want to be involved. Supposedly Ben Affleck has signed up, and this is according to moviepilot.com. And I think they're citing some other sources. Yeah, comicbookmovie.com. They're sorting them, but supposedly Ben Affleck, the actor director, has signed on for there's a 3-movie Batman trilogy coming, right?
All
a
right.
Standalone Batman trilogy coming. And there's also a Batman Beyond movie coming.
Okay.
And supposedly Affleck is in on all of them.
Okay.
Which I'm happy about because I thought that in Batman v Superman that Ben Affleck and Jeremy Irons as Batman and Alfred were the standout parts of that movie.
Right.
I really enjoyed that.
Batman. I didn't see a whole lot. I saw Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Yep.
And I would have liked to have seen a little bit more development of Batman. Mostly it was just kind of...
I'm here and I'm kicking your booty.
Right.
Because I'm angry.
So it'll be nice to see some development, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I liked him. I thought he was fantastic. And I remember people being upset with him being cast because of what happened in Daredevil. And I took the stance that you're taking with Star Trek Discovery. Wait and see.
Yeah.
And I thought he was great.
The same thing with Ryan Reynolds when he was a Green Lantern before he became Deadpool.
Exactly. I mean, years ago, they complained about Michael Keaton as Batman, and look where we are now.
And he blew it out of the dang water.
Yes, he did.
So you never know. But anyway, so there's Matt Reeves has a planned Batman trilogy, and there's possibly a Batman Beyond, which that's kind of cool. I'd like to see a Batman Beyond
Me
movie
too.
because
So would I.
there's an old Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond.
Right.
And then he takes Terry McGinnis in, and it almost kind of turns into a Spider-Man Batman thing, right? The high school kid. But anyway, so that if you're a fan of Ben Affleck, that's possibly good news for you. If you're not a fan of Ben Affleck, well, I guess suck it up, cupcake, because it looks like we've got him for another 3 movies probably. I thought he was good. I really liked him in Batman v Superman. And I'll say again, I'm not saying it's the best movie ever made, but watch the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman, and it's a lot better movie.
Okay.
It's a lot better movie. So, okay, this may be the final news story we get to today. Neil, but we were talking about Ready Player One earlier.
Right.
The geek book that's basically a love letter to the 80s and geeks being adapted into a movie by Steven Spielberg. And the logo itself is an Easter egg. This movie is nothing but Easter eggs.
Right.
And the logo itself is an Easter egg.
The story by Ernest Cline, who was the book's author, who, by the way, to promote the book, did a cross-country tour in a DeLorean to promote the book.
That's I mean, that's the thing.
But it's about this near future where the internet has been replaced by this virtual reality simulation, and the owner, who dies of cancer, puts an Easter egg that will give you control of his company and control of what replaces the internet in the hands of one person. And so it's the quest to find this Easter egg.
Right.
Like Easter eggs in video games.
Right.
Hidden somewhere in the program.
Right.
And our young hero is the first one to stumble across the first clue, and
off we go.
Off we go.
And the book itself and the movie from that point on is just nothing but, it's like I said last week, it's like they took everything from the 80s and put it down to a singularity and it exploded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, even the most obscure, they reference the old Spider-Man Super Sentai show from like 1980.
Supadaman.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So as Monty Cook put it, when he read the book, he said, it's like somebody wrote the book just for me. So anyway, so the logo for Ready Player One, just to give you an idea of what's to come with this movie, is an Easter egg in and of itself. It's a maze.
Right. It's a working maze.
It's a working maze. And this news article is from IO9 from Gizmodo. Go out there, just search for Ready Player One movie logo, and it's a fully playable maze to get to an egg inside the O in one. So that's the kind of fun that we can expect from this movie.
And that's the kind of level of detail. This is going to be the kind of movie that you're going to want on DVD or Blu-ray just so you can freeze frame.
Yeah, and over and over and over. And I guarantee you, Tom Sawyer is going to have a resurgence in pop culture.
Oh,
yeah. Just the trailer has got people looking for Tom Sawyer.
Rush is a big part of the book.
Yeah.
The music of Rush. So I saw that trailer and I was like, yes!
I was wondering why they used Rush. Okay, listen, I promised this. I got to throw this news article out really quick. A man in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and it's only funny because he survived, was hit with a mallet and stabbed 7 times after a disagreement after playing Magic the Gathering. So you tell me, man. And then the guy who beat him up and stabbed him called the 911 because he was afraid he killed him. Like I said, it's only funny because nobody died.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous. So go look for Stab 7 times after Magic the Gathering fight from geeknative.com. Okay, I got to do this to you, Neil. We got 20 seconds. The bad joke of the week. You ready?
I'm ready.
I saw an ad for burial plots and thought to myself, that's the last thing I need. Sorry.
That's the last thing you need.
That's the last thing I need. Neil, thanks for coming in. We'll catch everyone next week on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio.
Johnny.
You're still afraid.
Stop it now. I mean it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Johnny.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.